You've worked for 20, 30, maybe even 40 years saving for retirement.
All of that retirement savings, well, it might feel kind of like the junk drawer that you have in your house.
How to turn that junk drawer into a plan for retirement. Right now on Retiring Today.
Welcome to Retiring Today. A lot of times when people come into the offices of Merkle Retirement Planning, they feel like they have a junk drawer of investments that they've accumulated. And the goal is to turn that junk drawer into a retirement plan. That's what we're going to talk about on today's show. I'm here with Loren Merkle and Sean Honkamp. They're both certified financial fiduciaries and certified financial planners, and Sean is a CPA. Guys, I did it. I pulled my junk drawer out of the kitchen last night. It took a little bit of wiggling, had to get just the right angle, but I took it out because a lot of people can relate to the junk drawer. Do you guys have one of these in your house?
Yeah, it looks probably a lot like that.
And more than one. I know we've got a couple.
Yeah, it's kind of the landing spot where everything goes. So this junk drawer has, a bird watching pamphlet. This is from my grandmother. I've got my Michael Bublé tickets in here. The concert has been rescheduled now, I don't know, 2 or 3 times. I'm still hoping it happens this fall. An address book, lots of sticky notes, tape, a hammer, screwdrivers. It's all kinds of stuff for all kinds of needs. Loren, I know you've been sitting down with people for 20 years and you've been helping people retire. They often feel like after that many years of working and accumulating, they have a junk drawer of investments.
Yeah, many people do feel like when you get to that doorstep of retirement, you have all of these different financial products. You have all of these different financial things with no real organization of how are they going to work together to take them from the working years to the retirement years. So they feel a lot of times very disorganized, and you have this 401k over here, you have this life insurance product over here, you have all these different things, but how do they actually work together?
So what we want to do today is help you take that junk drawer of investments and turn it into a retirement plan. And if maybe you're really organized, Sean, you admitted you might have a couple of these, but if you're somebody that junk drawers and disorganization maybe gives you anxiety, you know firsthand, Sean, the relief that people feel when you do kind of deliver something that's a lot more organized to them.
Yeah, it's a constant message that we hear when working with families. As you get closer to that retirement stage of life, you kind of forget. Molly, yourself, you may not remember exactly when you accumulated all this wealth and all this junk, right? These very valuable items.
Yeah, we pulled out some things we're not even sure exactly what they are in here. I'm not sure what you do with a conversion surface burner, but
it's a very common part of the accumulation stage of life as you go through your career and maybe have job changes, things like that. You accumulate the various financial products, you open accounts at different places. All the time we're hearing from the families, they want to feel consolidation. They want to know that they've got things in order and they're doing the right things along the way.
Yeah, there's a real peace of mind. So let's go back to the financial junk drawer. Loren, what do you hear people saying? What do they have in the financial junk drawer?
Well, it's funny you should ask because we happen to have one of those right here. And to what you were talking about, Sean, is simplicity. Simplicity is really what pre-retirees are looking for as they transition to the retirement years, because it's so confusing. When you have a financial junk drawer of all these different things, let's just take a couple of these out. So we have a 401k plan. This could be a 401k plan with your existing employer, but a lot of times we have 401k plans that we've left behind with old employers. So what do you do with all those 401k plans? How many times do we see people, Sean, with a portfolio of miscellaneous mutual funds? That's how they refer to them a lot of times, because how do all these different mutual funds work together to provide you the diversification and portfolio experience that you're looking for? But in your accumulation years, you know that investing is significantly different in your accumulation years than what it is in your retirement years. So how do these types of products work for you as you make that transition? And we got another one here, annuity. Maybe you have an annuity from prior accumulation. Maybe you decide you need one in retirement. How does all that work together? Life insurance. I mean, there's a lot of different things that end up just like the junk drawer in our house. The financial junk drawer is just as discombobulated, just as confusing, and now it's a matter of how do you put all these things together, because we're not talking about just miscellaneous items that you've accumulated over the last 10 to 20 years. When we're talking about your retirement planning, we're talking about this is the engine, this is the fuel that's going to take you for the next 20 to 30 years of your permanent vacation that we all call retirement. So it's much more important, it's much more meaningful to make sure that you get on the same page with your different products. and clean up this financial junk drawer and put the puzzle pieces of your retirement picture together so you can live your best retirement vision.
And Sean, it's not a bad thing to have, we're calling it a junk drawer, but that's not necessarily negative terms. It means that you've tried to diversify your portfolio. It means that you've been intentional about doing more than just maybe the employer-sponsored plan. It's not a bad thing.
It's a reflection that you've made these decisions along the way. You have opportunities. It's good that you have a 401k option through your employer. Not everybody has that. So it's something that's just a part of life. If you are committed to saving, if you are, maybe you're doing the employer plans, you're maybe doing IRAs, if you're fortunate enough to be able to save even more, you may have those non-qualified accounts in mutual funds. So you're doing the right things, and yes, definitely these things are not junk. These are valuable. These ultimately become the investments or the engine to your overall plan. So it's, we don't want to connotate the junk drawer, but it's the challenge. One of the challenges we see is really, how many times have you told yourself, oh, I need to clean out that junk drawer? So one thing we need to be
Clearly,
thinking about,
I need to.
right?
You reference mine, it's okay, I'm not hurt.
It's almost overflowing, just like the financial junk drawer. But what's going to be that trigger? What is going to get you to take action? There's life events, there's different stages of life that you need to be cognizant of and thinking about what actions are going to get you to actually spend some time and start to organize that junk drawer of investments.
And Loren, the big thing people really want to know is my junk drawer enough? Do I have enough to get to and through retirement? And that's what we want to really get to today, is how can you assess that and make sure you have enough?
The number one question that we receive is, do I have enough? That's the question that we receive. But with this kind of mess just kind of all spread around, it's hard to discern, do you actually have enough? But if you organize it and you make sure that every piece is working the way that it should be together in unity to propel you to realize your best retirement vision, then you can more easily see, yes, I do have enough, or no, maybe you don't have enough, and here's some of the steps that you can take. Here's some of the holes that you need to fill in to make sure that you can live throughout that next 20 to 30 years on all the different assets that you've been able to accumulate.
So we've only been talking for about 8 minutes, and maybe you can already relate to some of the things that we're talking about. Maybe you do feel like you have a junk drawer of investments. Well, here's a great opportunity to talk directly with a retirement planner about what you've been doing to save for retirement. Answer the question, do I have enough? It's a 15-minute retirement checkup call. You can go to merkleretire.com right now, get on the calendar of the retirement planners here at Merkle Retirement Planning, and schedule your complimentary call today. But we have a lot more to talk about when it comes to investments, how to organize that junk drawer, 3 steps when retiring today continues.
When planning a big trip, do you like to look up points of interest, read restaurant reviews, or map out how to take the scenic route? You may spend days or even weeks getting ready for a week-long vacation. Well, what about the 20 or 30-year journey that is retirement? Join us for an online complimentary workshop, Journey to Retirement, June 29th and 30th at 6 p.m. What you can learn in this 2-part online workshop from the comfort of your own home will help you plan for the most exciting journey of your life. Register today at merkleplan.com.
I feel like a ton of bricks has been taken off my shoulders. They know so much about everything. I'm getting information about Medicare and Social Security. The Merkle Retirement Team really knows what it is doing. They knock it out of the park with timely responses and empathetic handling of sensitive issues. Thanks for everything you do, Merkle Retirement Planning.
Welcome back to Retiring Today. We're working on organizing your retirement junk drawer. I'm here with Loren Merkle and Sean Honkamp. We got rid of my actual junk drawer from home. I'll organize that, some other day.
Next day, right?
But what you want to know about if you're a pre-retiree or retiree is how to organize all the retirement savings, all the products, all the things you have going on. So Loren, in that first segment, we talked about some of the things people have in their investment drawer and the 401k. I think a lot of people can kind of resonate with that. They have old 401ks at old employers. what should they do?
Yeah, the old 401k plan syndrome is what I call it, is very common, where you leave an employer, you don't know what to do with that 401k plan, and it is just simple. It is simple to leave that 401k plan there. You already have enough change in your life. You're moving, you're changing jobs, changing employers, and so you're worried about that. And then you leave that employer, and you have that 401k plan. So you're on the doorsteps of retirement, and you're thinking about all these other decisions you have to make as you make that transition from the working to the retirement years, and you're left with 2, 3, 4 old employer plans. Now's the time to get organized from an employer plan standpoint. There's a couple considerations that we need to have. One is if you have left an employer between the ages of 55 and 59 and a half, that means you can take distributions, you can take income from that employer plan and not have the 10% early withdrawal penalty. That's something that not a lot of people are aware of, because a lot of people are familiar with the 59 and a half rule, where if you take distributions out of your IRA or some 401k plans prior to 59 and a half, you have to pay an extra 10% on top of the ordinary income tax that you have to pay. But there is that one loophole where if you separate service after 55, if you're taking those distributions direct from that employer plan, you don't have the penalty. So if that is you, if you have that circumstance, if you're a part of that, then we need to be really careful on, do we move that money? Do you have enough liquidity if you were to retire or you needed some money prior to 59 and a half, or should we continue to leave it here? Those other employer plans that do not fall within that circumstance, then most of the time it does make sense for you to take that money out of the old employer plan and move it to your name, your control. That's an IRA. Now when you do that, if you do it right, you do not have to pay any taxes or penalties when you make that transition. Simply, you're taking the 401k and the old employer name off of it, and you're putting your name underneath the IRA on that money. And then you can consolidate all of those 401k plans into one simple account to manage.
Okay, the junk drawer feels a little bit more organized already. Sean, one thing you see a lot of times is people have maybe several non-qualified accounts, and this is kind of a term you guys use in the industry. So first, let's make sure we understand what non-qualified accounts are, what several could look like, and maybe some tips to get those organized.
The non-qualified phrase does get confusing. Oftentimes, we're not sure what people are referring to when we talk about the non-qualified. But really, when we talk about non-qualified, it's really just the opposite of qualified. When we say qualified, we're talking about money in 401ks, in the IRAs, in the plans that are acknowledged by the IRS. When we talk about non-qualified, that's where we're not getting any of the tax advantages of those accounts. So your checking accounts, your savings accounts, and then if you go beyond that, that next step that most people take is really to open a brokerage account. And that's probably most synonymous with non-qualified, is that you make sure you've got enough money to cover your month-to-month and your checking. You may want to make sure you have that emergency fund fulfilled with your savings. And if you're in a position where you have extra cash, we may want to go open that brokerage account. The challenges we see with the various non-qualified accounts is, what's the purpose? What are you doing with it? And then there can be a number of them. We hear oftentimes, your families are opening different checking accounts at different banks, different savings accounts at different banks. Maybe you're going to get those interest rate specials. So now you see the junk drawer that we're talking about with these different accounts at different banks. And sometimes, believe it or not, people do lose track of their money, and they may even forget about some of these accounts. Another aspect of the non-qualified is just the investment strategy. If you have brokerage accounts open, you're owning some certain investments. If you've got one over here, another one over here, those investment strategies may or may not be synced up and be doing the same thing, or at least you're not looking at those together. That can present some challenges, and maybe you're not being as efficient as you can be.
And sometimes, Loren, it's probably just a matter of kind of remembering. I mean, if you've been working for 40 years, you might have bought a term insurance policy that you kind of even forgot about. I mean, have you seen that happen in meetings?
One of the biggest questions that we get as people make this transition to the retirement years is they have this old term life insurance policy, or maybe even a group policy that you have through your employer, and you may have forgotten about it, or maybe it's just somewhere in the back of your mind as you're living life, going through all these other things that you go through. But now you have to make a decision. Do you want to carry this term policy going forward, or this group life insurance policy going forward? Do you still need life insurance? Those are the questions that we get that need to have answers applied to them, because term insurance policies or even group life policies, they cost you money. So as you're trying to put more definition around what your retirement budget or retirement spend looks like, all of these different types of expenses that you've always just kind of paid because you needed it at one point and you had this good W-2 income coming in, they become more important, and you need to become more intentional in the retirement years where now you have a finite amount of resources that has to supply this income that you are going to need for the rest of your life. So an evaluation of, do you still need it? And if you still need it, what is now the new purpose behind this insurance product, as well as all of these other products that you've accumulated over the course of your accumulation lifetime.
All right, what else do you have in your financial junk drawer here that we can kind of help people feel more organized around?
This is a big one. So an inheritance. With an inheritance, whether you have received an inheritance, whether it's an inherited IRA, it is real estate, a house, farmland, we see that quite a bit, or for a lot of the families that we work with, maybe they haven't received an inheritance already, but there is an inheritance that they feel might be coming down the road. How do you handle this inheritance? How do you weave it into all of these other pieces in your financial junk drawer to make the most sense to you and make the most out of this money that your loved one left to you? How do you make the most out of that they have bestowed to you to help you live your best retirement vision?
And Sean, when you're working through all the financial products and things that people have put together over the years, one thing I know that you want to make sure they do is update beneficiaries, because that's a little thing, but if it goes unchecked, it can lead to big mistakes.
Yeah, life events certainly do happen, right? Your situations change, your family picture can change, marriage, whether you're married or single or married the first time, married a second time. It's common, we see it a lot of times where beneficiaries do not get updated when we have a number of accounts. If you've got multiple accounts out there, it takes a little bit of work. It's human nature, it's easy to put things off, just like we talk about putting off cleaning out that junk drawer. Updating beneficiaries is critical. We've heard of too many situations where the life event happens, unplanned events can happen, someone may pass away, and then they realize never updated beneficiaries. Now it's an ex-wife maybe that's getting the funds from an account. Just a situation that just may not be in line with what your goals truly are. So do not forget to think about the beneficiary aspect of all these various accounts.
Yeah, if you want to make your current wife really happy, forget to take your ex-wife or your ex-spouse off of a beneficiary account. And that goes back to the 401k plan conversation that we were having with one of the reasons to consolidate old employer plans into an IRA underneath your name, your control. It's one account that you can now keep better track of from a beneficiary designation standpoint. It's not uncommon that we see old employers switch custodians, which means they're going from XYZ custodian to ABC custodian, and many times that beneficiary designation does not get switched. So when that old employer moves from one company to another company, now you don't have any beneficiary designations due to no fault of yours. It just didn't get switched over when the company switched, and now something happens to you, you pass away, and that money may not end up where you want it to end up, and certainly may not end up in the most efficient way with less taxes and potentially less penalties.
Okay, so I've got all of this stuff. I've got all my financial junk, and Loren, I want you to get organized. I want you to get my junk drawer too. Maybe later you could organize that for me.
Let's start with the financial junk drawer.
Okay, let's start that way.
We can talk about your real junk drawer. So now it's time to get organized, and this is really the culmination of building your retirement plan. I think one of the reasons that retirement planning as a concept is so difficult for a lot of people to grasp is what is it? What is it? These are a lot of the different moving pieces of your retirement plan, but what a well-written, customized retirement plan should do is take all this complexity, all these moving pieces, all the pieces of this puzzle, and then we'll just clean it up. We'll get rid of this stuff. We'll get rid of it.
Let's do it.
It's gone. And now instead of that junk drawer, now we have a very well-defined, written, customized plan to your retirement experience. And if you want to go into your retirement plan and you have, let's say you have a question like most pre-retirees have, and that question is when you retire, where's your income going to come from? Because you don't have W-2 income anymore, but you still have a lifestyle, and that lifestyle does require income. Well, all you have to do is go to your income tab of your retirement plan, and it'll show you this is how much income you can receive at point of retirement. Here's where it's going to come from, your Social Security options, Do you take money from your pension? What pension options should you select? Do you take money from your investment options? How much can you afford to take from your investment options and still have confidence that you're going to have money 20 to 30 years later? And I know you're going to have questions on your tax plan. Molly, I know you like to talk about taxes.
That's you and Sean that like to talk about taxes.
Well, so if we have questions on the tax plan, all we have to do is go to the tax tab, and then this is going to show you what should you do from a tax strategy this year, next year. Do Roth conversions make sense this year? Should we wait till next year? All the details around how to save more money around the resources that you've already collected. Then, of course, we have the healthcare, Medicare tab, legacy planning, investment planning tab. This is the retirement plan.
And Loren, you mentioned a lot of people may not know exactly what a retirement plan is. You're coming up on a different stage of life. You've been in that accumulation stage of life. Working with a retirement planner is different. That's our focus. That's our specialty. The accumulation advisors are there to help you transact, do those things that are important at that stage of life. Work with a retirement plan. We're here to help our families build that comprehensive retirement plan. Having that plan can help you identify the goals that can help you to make those various decisions with that junk drawer of investments.
And that plan that Loren showed you, this is the kind of thing that you get when you work with Merkle Retirement Planning. You get a plan, a binder that shows you exactly how you'll get income, what you'll do for long-term care, what you'll do for a legacy plan. It's time for our Ask the Advisor segment. This question came to us. Here it is. Can I contribute to a Roth IRA and a Roth 401k? If you have a question you'd like to see us answer here on the show, there's a number on your screen right now. You can text your question to that number. We'll answer the question when we return, and we'll talk about those 3 steps to turn your junk drawer of investments into a retirement plan when Retiring Today continues.
When planning a big trip, do you like to look up points of interest, read restaurant reviews, or map out how to take the scenic route? You may spend days or even weeks getting ready for a week-long vacation. Well, what about the 20 or 30-year journey that is retirement? Join us for an online complimentary workshop, Journey to Retirement, June 29th and 30th at 6 p.m. What you can learn in this 2-part online workshop from the comfort of your own home will help you plan for the most exciting journey of your life. Register today at merkleplan.com.
I feel like a ton of bricks has been taken off my shoulders. They know so much about everything. I'm getting information about Medicare and Social Security. The Merkle retirement team really knows what it is doing. They knock it out of the park with timely responses and empathetic handling of sensitive issues. Thanks for everything you do, Merkle Retirement Planning.
Welcome back to Retiring Today. Here's our Ask the Advisor question. Again, this question is, can I contribute to a Roth IRA and a Roth 401k? Sean Honkamp, you know the answer to that one. What is it?
That's a great question. Fortunately, yes, you can contribute to both a Roth IRA and Roth 401k. This is a question we get from a lot of the families that we interact with, not knowing the difference between the limitations between the 401k and the IRAs. With the 401k, you can do up to the $19,500 with an additional $6,500 catch-up contribution. With the IRA, everybody can do up to $6,000 with the additional $1,000 catch-up contribution.
And the IRA and the 401k, just some of the things that can be in that investment junk drawer. So Loren, we promised 3 steps to kind of get your junk drawer turned into a retirement plan. What are they?
3 steps. Step number 1, get organized. It's going to make you feel so much better as you make these difficult decisions, as you transition from the working years to the retirement years. If you organize your financial junk drawer to something that looks more like this, then you're going to have the answers at your fingertips to these difficult questions, and you're going to make these decisions with a lot more confidence that's going to allow you to have the enjoyment out of this newfound freedom of time as you make that transition to retirement.
And step 2, set goals. We know that failing to plan is planning to fail. Creating this retirement plan can help you identify those goals. We also know what gets written down, gets measured, and gets achieved. Having this stuff written down, we hear all the time from our families how valuable it is to have that plan, have that binder at home. And as questions come up, you've got a resource for you to be able to go and check out what are your goals, what have you taken, what actions have you done so far, and what else may be still out there that needs your attention as you continue that journey through retirement.
Step number 3, everybody who's making this transition to the retirement years needs to have a plan. And the culmination of getting organized and setting goals should be your retirement plan. This is custom to you. You have certain goals that you want to achieve in retirement. You want a certain lifestyle, and you have certain resources available to you. This is going to help you identify how you achieve what it is that you've set out to achieve in this next phase of life.
And guys, we spent a lot of today just talking about what you did in the accumulation years, but when it comes to making decisions in retirement, there is a lot that you have to decide. Electing Social Security, long-term care, what do I need, there. So we've got a really great opportunity to talk about all of those decisions that are coming up as you move to and through retirement. It's our Journey to Retirement workshops. Loren, what will people learn if they attend one of those?
This Journey to Retirement workshop is a lot of fun for Sean and I. We put on these workshops and we talk about the 5 components that should be involved within your retirement plan. And we get into as much detail as we can around here's the different areas of income that you can receive to maintain the lifestyle that you want to. Of all the different Social Security options, here's some of the options that you may have. Long-term care, health care planning, Medicare, legacy planning, and then the investment plan. With the markets being as wild as they are, with what we saw in March of 2020, April of 2020, 2008, early in the 2000s, people want to know how can they invest their money, beat inflation, beat taxation, and grow it on top of that without having to ride this roller coaster of the downside of the markets. And that's where the investment plan comes into play as well. So Sean and I talk about all of that different stuff with the Journey to Retirement workshop, and it's a lot of fun because we take your questions too. So it's interactive, and you get a chance to ask your questions to get some information that's really detailed to the top concerns that you have.
Yeah, Sean, there's a lot of good takeaways in those workshops.
Yeah, there's a lot of top questions. We know that all of the families we meet with have these top concerns that they're thinking about, some of them for the very first time, some of the things that we talked about in retirement. So we want to make sure that we're giving you the information that you need to make those decisions. We want to help alleviate those top concerns, whether that's just the income, healthcare, legacy plan, whatever the case might be for your situation.
To sign up for those Journey to Retirement workshops, go to merkleplan.com and you can see what option is best for you. We'll continue talking about all of the things that go into developing a retirement plan and getting organized as you move to and through retirement, a very exciting time. On this show, it's Retiring Today, and we thank you for watching.
When planning a big trip, do you like to look up points of interest, read restaurant reviews, or map out how to take the scenic route? You may spend days or even weeks getting ready for a week-long vacation. Well, what about the 20 or 30-year journey that is retirement? Join us for an online complimentary workshop, Journey to Retirement, June 29th and 30th at 6 p.m. What you can learn in this 2-part online workshop from the comfort of your own home will help you plan for the most exciting journey of your life. Register today at merkleplan.com.
Thank you so much for watching Retiring Today. We hope you've enjoyed the show.
See you next week.